Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
No worries, no worries. You're all good. We were just going through some quick introduction, but I'll kick it off now, and maybe you can do your introduction after we finish the panel. Awesome. Okay, so happy Monday, everybody, and thanks for joining us for almost now. This is maybe the fifth or sixth meetup that we do this online, and I'm very proud to be part of this group of founders. We're all learning together. Again, the idea came when I was at Egypt. I met a few founders, and we've learned together through a nice meetup. It was a small room, not so big, but it was very effective. And I was jealous, to be honest. I was feeling like this is something that we need to bring here to the US and Canada founders and get to stay together, get to learn from each other. There is no sales in this call, and we're not pitching anything. We're trying mostly to focus on networking and growing and learning from each other. So every time I try to get, the best speakers panel to share their wisdom. There is no set agenda per se, and there is no slides here. It's more of stories, real stories coming from real founders who did their own thing, and they managed to grow. They managed to still struggle, sometimes, and we're all learning every day. There is no doubt about that. Entrepreneurship is a big learning journey. And I'm very proud of the community here, and I hope this is useful for everybody who's joining. So with that being said, today I'm very proud to have Dr. Barnabas, Ahmed Ubay, and Dennis as our panel speakers. So I'll spotlight you guys first, and then I'll ask you to do intros, and then we'll get it started. So let me just do this for you guys first. Okay, let's start with Dr. Barnabas again. Quick intro. Who you serve, what you solve, and a little bit about yourself for everybody else to know you.
Awesome, thank you. First of all, thanks, Ahmed, for doing this, man. It's been a labor of love for you. I can tell. You spend a lot of time doing it. You're doing a great job at it. Thanks you for inviting me. It's not my first time at the meeting, but I think it's the first time doing as presenting. So thank you for providing me that opportunity. Barnabas Roundtree, as he said, I have a background, human resources, strategy, planning. The last 15 years I've been in tech, with the last 10 of those years being at Microsoft, where I manage delivery teams, engineering teams across a wide range of federal government, manufacturing, healthcare, as well as state and local government. And what I learned during that time was that every company reaches a point where it wonders, whether its AI investment is delivering returns, right? In fact, in 2020, there was a study that showed 90% of the executives reported zero ROI from their AI investments. So BMR Solutions, which is my company, is about providing forensic operational clarity on what that looks like for a company. And we do this through a 360 triangulation of our company's data, operations, financial outputs. And what we strive to do there is identify the labor waste, the financial leakage, and the capital exposure that arises from their AI systems. We don't provide status reports. We try to identify, we identify the hidden risk in AI systems before they become legal complications for companies. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit what I do.
Thanks, sir. Dennis, you're next.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be in this panel and to speak to everyone here. It's my third time in this conversation, not in the panel speaking, but I've presented 2 weeks ago or so about LinkedIn, and before that I was also part in another call. So thank you very much for having the opportunity to join in again. And so about myself, I've been teaching people how to code for more than a decade via Udemy courses, and reached over 500,000 people there. Also did YouTube. Taught a lot of people on that platform as well. So you can see the little button back here. And then at one point, AI came out, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? AI is delivering the better result, the better experience when it comes to learning how to code, in my opinion, at least. And I felt like if I feel this way, then many other people will feel the same. So also AI was really good at became better at coding. Now it's already pretty good. And I thought, okay, coding will be less relevant in general. So I thought of something new, and that was to talk about AI. If you can beat it, join it. That's what my wife told me after I was depressed for a while because of AI. And she's like, yeah, well, Dennis, if you are good at educating, so why don't you educate people on AI? Which is what I did for 2 years. And in the meantime, I grew to, like in 2 years, to roughly 160,000 followers on LinkedIn. Now in the last 5 months, a little less, because I was focusing more on just founders and not going super broad with the content, which reduces the speed that you grow at. But yeah, that's because I decided to offer that to founders as well. The LinkedIn Done For You is what we offer now. So that's my little story. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dan. Excited about what you shared, and looking forward to more discussion. Ahmed, very excited to have you, and looking forward to what you bring. Please go for it.
Thank you, Ahmed. It's a pleasure to be with you here today, guys, on this panel. It's the first time to join, but I'm very excited to be part of the group here. Me, I did this like computers, everything I did since I was even before, since mid school, I guess. Like I started in '95, which is pretty like I started in an x86 machine, like from 1981, that my dad had owned, and I learned in DOS 3.1s, and then I moved to Windows 3.1 and Windows 95. So I've seen the evolution, and it's very excited, like following what Dennis was talking, and the grief that you'll have go saying goodbye to these days, and just as the AI is changing the landscape drastically, you have to find something else to do. But along that way, I started a number of companies. I actually did managed IT services in Dubai, and then I did unified communication as a service when you find that the space was too busy. So pivoting, like going back to Dennis's point, pivoting was always something you have to do, not attach a lot of ego to it, not cry on the spilled milk, or get too attached to your effort that you have spent into building something. You have to be flexible to the direction we had. So I went to Company Tone, which is a communication service SaaS company, and then I have joined Nutanix for a couple of years, selling in hyper-converged infrastructure on-prem, and then joined Microsoft for 4 years, doing cloud solution architecture here in Vancouver, selling to most of the government entities, setting up their landing zone, their cloud infrastructure, connecting it to on-prem infrastructure, and that all in place. And then now I established Xtools, which is again a cloud software company that builds the infrastructure for cloud. So if you want to have your own cloud infrastructure, that is the software that you will install. So it's basically everything I learned from Nutanix and everything I learned from Microsoft together with the power of AI. So I didn't abandon my job as an AI programmer completely, but that definitely accelerate the progress in this case. Very happy to be with you all here today, and hope that will bring some value to the people listening.
Amazing. I'm really excited about the three of you and what you guys bring to this panel. And let's kick off again with our normal few questions to get this going. So the first question, which I'll ask the three of you, what is one mistake either you did or you continue other founders do in your space, and what would be the right way to handle that mistake or that error? Dr. Barnabas, we'll start with you as usual.
Just one?
Just one. Thank you so much.
I guess I would say, from my perspective, is not trusting yourself, right? I think a lot of times we go out and we try to seek advice, and we want to get input from other people, and we want to take that advice, we want to try to take it in and churn it up and put it back out and make it. But sometimes we interact with people who kind of kill our confidence, right? Or give you maybe not what you were looking for as it relates to that motivational pep talk. They give you some information that is contrary to what you kind of thought or what you believed. And I personally would say that being open-minded enough to understand the difference between feedback and not losing confidence in your idea and what you think the market, you know, if you've done your research and what you think the market actually needs, staying true to that. That's not saying to ignore that advice, right, that people give you. You always want to take that in and try to process it and make what you do better. But losing confidence in what you think your idea is and what you think the market needs is one of the mistakes that I think I see people make a lot of times. They go from thing to thing to thing to thing. Every time somebody gives them a different input, they change the direction of what they're going to do, and I'm going to do something totally new. So that's where I would land with that one.
I love it, and definitely we'll come back to that. You know, I'm sure we all have that, you know, symptom sometime, and so maybe we'll visit that in more detail. Dennis, what about yours?
Yeah, so for me, I would say the biggest mistake that I did repeatedly and seem to not learn from it is to always go broad or change directions too often. And that's something that, for example, with the coding thing, it was I wouldn't just do C#. I would also do app development, game development, those kind of things, you know, like create a bunch of different courses. And not all of it was bad, but it made YouTube a lot harder as well, which was like, on one hand, you have the guys who want to build apps, but then they don't care about game development. And I just thought, yeah, they're very close together, but it's not really true. So basically understanding your niche and sticking to it, at least to a degree. So that's something that I always missed. And the same thing with LinkedIn. So I grew this big audience on LinkedIn, but they are mainly interested in AI. And then moving from that to founders who would also be interested in branding and stuff, that was not so easy, and it takes a while. And I see that it's recovering, but the thing is, like, you are building this baggage that you still have to carry along, because I cannot just say, yeah, I want to delete all of the followers that are not relevant for my new thing. And yeah, that's a repeated mistake that I've been doing. And I try to learn from it, but you know, it's, I just have too many different interests. What should I say?
I hear you, Dennis, and I think, you know, again, we're all suffering from that symptoms too. So we'll definitely come back to this thought and maybe dive deeper there. Ahmed, what about yours?
The challenge or the mistake I keep doing, which I still do, is not asking for help or not finding a partner early on in the process. Because that's just like what Dennis said. One day you wake up and you feel top of the clouds, what you're building is the best thing in the world after sliced bread. And then the next day you feel like, what is this? What am I doing? This all doesn't make sense. It's like nothing, no one is gonna like this. So that roller coaster is very lonely, it's very difficult. You need a lot of mental toughness to go through it and believe in what you're doing. But having a partner, someone who can burden some of the or lift or some of the burden with you, can add value to the business, can complement your skill set. If you're especially if you're an engineer or a programmer, you will be into sales or something. So that would make a perfect fit, which is something I always struggle with. So. But yeah, I would say this is if I were to do everything again, I'll do my best first to find someone to build these companies with instead of doing it by myself. I think I would have had a lot more success than what I had.
I love it. And again, you know, this resonates with me personally. You know, like a lot of what you just mentioned is something that most people are, you know, trying to solve for. And getting help, you know, is also a double sword. Like, you know, you could get someone to help you, but then they stall you, they distract you somehow, and so again, it's definitely not easy. But I hear you. Awesome. Asif, I saw you have your hand raised. Did you have any question or okay, go for it.
2 points. I think one was Dennis, another was for Ahmed. Dennis, I think I had very similar problem, but I tried to do a lot. And my wife took me for a hiking and convinced me to do something one, but it's so hard to focus. So how did you come out of it, or did you solve that problem or not? So that was the first question. And I'll ask Ahmed next.
All right. So I would say that I have not fully found a proper solution to it yet. I feel like it links back to what I think Ahmad said. I'm not sure whether it was you, Ahmad, or Barnabas, about trusting yourself. I think it was Barnabas, right? So trusting your own gut, trusting yourself. Like other people can have a lot of impact on our thoughts, on our direction. And it's not just people nowadays, it's social media as well, where you're constantly bombarded with a lot of information about this is the best way. No, this is the best way. No, actually, this is a lot better. You're gonna have this shortcut and that shortcut and all of that. So it's really bad. It's messing with your head. It's destroying the inner compass that you have to a degree. And I think that reducing all of that noise is going to play a big role in my personal way to actually get there. At least that's what I'm thinking. And also making myself aware of this. And I think the biggest issue is that we have a direction, but then we are facing resistance. And then it's easier to restart, but then you're restarting. So while you are taking some of the experience with you and some of the network with you and maybe some of the audience with you and so forth, but still you are starting from scratch. You're coming across new mistakes and new challenges and new things to overcome. And like, yeah, that's why it's probably best to just stick with something. I recently watched this video by this like mental coach of the 70s. I don't know his name. This guy who was saying something like, when you're on the fence on whether to go left or right, just pick a side and stick with it, is what he says. But go with it fully. And yeah, I plan on rewatching that video regularly in order to memorize, like remember that particular aspect of it, and like just force myself to not change direction, because probably there's just something that I feel like I'm not ready to overcome, and I need to look at it from a distance, and then very often you will find a way. Maybe you have to go some slalom or whatever, but then eventually you will find the way. I hope.
I can share my trick. Maybe you guys, I think this is for open to help me if this is the right trick. Like I have 3 whiteboards and I place that, okay, this is my North Star. And then I have a list saying what to do doing this. Because I'm in AI and AI is going crazy. Every TikToker, everybody is talking about. So I focus on one thing and what not to do and what I have to achieve. So anyway, this is kind of working, but still not working. So one more question, if Ahmed, you allow me. So for Ahmed is actually I'm losing my thought. So maybe I'll let other.
Maybe we'll keep that to the open Q&A at the end. I see. Sounds good. Okay, so let's then maybe move to the next question. Again, it's mostly about the leverage. You know, what is one thing that you think you maybe are doing very well today, and you think this is a leverage that most founders may need to think about and use for their own benefit. So maybe I'll start now maybe with Ahmed Obay, just for a change, and then we'll circle back. So go for it, Ahmed.
Sure. I think my unfair advantage at the moment is being an expert in multiple segments. Like it's normal or it's common to have someone who's really good at development, but it has someone who's really good at development and infrastructure and database and networking can be more tricky with knowledge and background and business. Things like this, like knowledge in multiple segments at the same time, or being even a generalist, as if you like, and this time and age, I think, especially with AI, I think does help greatly. Because if you fully understand or have a good system design in mind, and you can design what you want, you can get now most of that done using AI. And I think that helped me greatly with my last company. So I would say, yes, have a T shape, but maybe have a pie shape, like two T's, like be a generalist. So you know a lot about many, something about many topics, but be very specific in a couple of topics or a couple of subjects. And you'll be able to marry these two together to do something that nobody else is able to do. Because usually you'll have a T-shape skill set where someone is generalist on many topics, but very specific in one topic. And this is just their niche. So I think more interesting things come out when you marry that niche with something else, and you're able to marry them together. So I'll say that was my leverage. So across my time, I was always doing system administration, but I was always automating my work. So I was doing it in fraction of what other people are doing. And out of this is where all my companies came from: automating the work, reducing friction, eliminating completely friction, doing something that takes, like, this is how I built a SaaS company. Like, this, what was that SaaS company is basically the administration work, all of it lumped together into a process and fully documented in code, and now it runs, and at the end you pay with Stripe. So so marrying these two together was for me a big leverage.
I love it. Thank you so much. Dennis, let's go with you next.
So the question was about the unfair advantage, right?
Like, again, the biggest leverage that you think, that's helping you, and also it could help other founders as well.
Okay. So I would definitely say content is my strength and my biggest leverage, because while in the past, if you wanted to do sales, you would have to go to a place, talk to somebody in person, and then try to convince them. Then the phone came and you had to convince them on the phone. Then the internet came and you could start convincing people via articles, via blogs, via content, basically. And then social media came along and it allowed you to reach millions of people with the same piece of work. So that is, in my opinion, my biggest leverage, that I think in content. I always think of, okay, how can I convert that experience that I just had, or that learning that I came across, into a content piece that on one hand strengthens my personal brand and at the same time delivers value to other people. And I think the second part is actually the most important part, like the value side of things. That's what generate value for the people that you want to reach. And yeah, that's the beauty about social media. You can reach thousands upon thousands of people, the right people, because the algorithms take care of it. They just send it to people who this is relevant to. And that's something I would recommend everybody do. Like content, just share, but always think of what is somebody else gaining from reading what you are sharing. Because otherwise it's just fluff. Nobody cares. And either it's a learning that you made, or it's something that you personally have experienced, because then it differs from all of the AI posts that you will be seeing or are seeing already on social media. Because the human experience is still something that's very close to us and something that we still care a lot about. And that's a good thing. Like, the human experience is not something you can fake with AI, because the AI has just some boring information to share. Like, the information might not be boring, but the way, the fact that it's not real experience just makes it so much less valuable. So yeah, that would be my leverage, I would say.
Oh, I love it. And again, it's a lot. I think it's a journey, creating content and being aware of who your target audience or your persona is definitely not easy. I know I'm trying to master this myself, and it's not easy at all. But yeah, no, I think we'll dive deeper into your piece here, Dennis, in the Q&A. Dr. Barnabas, your biggest leverage this year.
About that as the other two gentlemen were speaking. I would say my biggest leverage is understanding the business of business. So, and what I mean by that is, as I said in my introduction, I'm not a technology person by trade. I didn't grow up in tech. I don't have that frame in my mind of how that works, but I understand business. I understand how to sit in the C-suite and understand what resonates with CEOs, what resonates with CIOs, what moves them as it relates to do the things that they need to do from a business perspective. So being able to have that understanding and work backwards and say, okay, now what do I need to put in front of them from a technology perspective that will help move them off the needle to do the things that I need them to do, right? Because ultimately, it's not about, and from my experience in those rooms, it's not about the tech. That's not what moves them. What moves them is, what does that provide for my business? So whatever that ROI is for my business is what moves them. So if I can show you from a business perspective how this particular piece of technology moves that needle for you, then I win that conversation. If I articulate why invest in this or how this is going to be beneficial to your company, then I'm showing the door. So having that understanding of what it is and how it relates from a business perspective, I think is the biggest leverage that I have. And one of the things that I would say to, and I said this not too long ago, I went back to my my old high school and talked to a group of kids there about, school, jobs, careers, and those types of things, and what AI is doing and what types of things they'd be looking for. And one of the things I told them was, the jobs that you're probably going to have aren't even invented yet, right? So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time focused on that particular piece of it. But I would say, whatever you decide to go do, take business classes and understand business, because it is paramount to doing anything that you want to do wherever you want to go. So if that's a foundation that you can put in your toolkit as it relates to understanding that money, how that money moves, and why that money motivates them, I think it's a win-win.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so I have few questions that I will ask each one, and then we'll open up for so that everybody else here can leverage your wisdom and get a piece of you. So Dennis, this question is for you. Why do founders stay invisible even when they build great products?
I think it's mainly because they don't see the value in content, or because they don't feel like what they have to say is meaningful enough, or the third one is they just don't know how to, in what format to put it. And then very often what happens is they share the information. They don't share it in a format that works well on social media. They get very poor results, and that leads to them just giving up and not doing it anymore. So I just think that it has to do with the reward structure, or like the reward. So if you're not getting any reward in the sense of like comments or even better business or conversations, so it's worth a lot more, obviously. If you don't get that from content, and you don't have a long, you have to say that in English, don't have a long breath. So you basically don't have like a, you don't keep it up for a long enough period, then it just doesn't, people just give up. And I think that's the biggest problems that lead to business owners with great products, great ideas, just not keeping on LinkedIn or on social media in general. Like, this works for all platforms, basically.
So what's the secret sauce? If you are starting over today, and again, and some of us here, we're still new to social media. We're not, friendly with camera. We're shy. So what would you tell us to do here?
All right. So step number one is be very, very clear about your ideal client profile. your persona? Who are the people that you can deliver the most value to? And ideally, you have proof of delivering that value. Because once you have that information, then you can make a decision on which platform you want to go on. Because based on your ideal customer profile, the platform might differ. So for some businesses, it's going to be LinkedIn. For other businesses, it's going to be TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Maybe it's X. Maybe it's none of those. Maybe it's actually just going to a local event and talking to people there. Because social media works very well if you have a nationwide or global business or an online business, so to speak. But if you have a local business, then social media potentially is not the tool to go with, except you want to do it with paid ads. Then it's a different story. So that's on the decision as to where you want to go. Then the next one would be understanding what works on that platform. So you need to use the platform for a bit. Ideally, you are following people who are like you, who are reaching people who are your ideal customer profile. And then you look at what are the reactions, what is the type of content that works, and then try to understand the repeating patterns. And then think of, okay, how can I take whatever that person said and combine it with my personal experience, with my personal knowledge that I have for that topic, and make a meaningful contribution to the platform. And if you do that, then it will be working a lot better than what most people do, where they just throw something out or let AI write something for them or whatever. So yeah, that's one thing. And then stay consistent. Just keep writing and keep learning, get better at it. Educate yourself on it. Keep looking at what is currently working. So there is this concept of outliers on social media. So if you are looking, for example, at the YouTube channel that you really like, and then just check out by most viewed videos, like filter by most viewed videos, or like, what is it? Yeah, basically that. And then see which posts, which videos have been performing by far the best in recent times. So recency is also a very important aspect of it. So if it's something that is old, then maybe it has worked back in the days, but now it won't work anymore. So look at outliers in the last 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and then do that on multiple accounts. And then if there are patterns that overlap, then you have your winners. And these are the outliers that you should take your own, but make your own spin on, be it on YouTube, be it on Instagram, be it on LinkedIn. So yeah, that would be the step-by-step instruction that I would give.
I love it. Carolina, I see you have a follow-up. Go for it, please.
Yeah, no, I think what Dennis is saying, it's spot on. And to be honest, I would always say, really invest in your personal brand before you even start. Like if I think about my personal life, like if I would, go back 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I would like to do one thing different, that would be the one thing I would do different, is actually to start that early on. And my personal observation is that people try to, either they're not there, so actually not active, or they try to imitate some other things, correct? And share some generic content. And my observation has been that you need to be you, so you need to figure out what makes you unique and what actually speaks to that group. Yeah, and the first thing is the building trust. And I actually see it, well, I don't have as many followers as Dennis have, but still, even with a much smaller group, this can be a top channel. And for us, for example, social media is our top channel, but it comes from the fact of, unique you. So what makes your story very, very unique? And secondly, that it's not a monologue that you just post and ghost, but that you actually, truly engage and build a network, because it's social media, and the word social means actually that you engage with others. So I think I would just second also what Dennis said, because it's just so important now to any of our businesses.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Okay, awesome. Next question to you, Ahmed. What breaks first when a business starts growing fast?
What breaks first? Good question. Well, if the culture is old, but if that wasn't there, or if it's a bad culture, or there's no clarity on what we stand for, why we're doing this, what makes us different, what is normal in the business, what's not acceptable, the team will disintegrate. It will be a horrible environment, I guess. This is my experience.
I love it. I love it. And I fully agree. And culture is definitely a big, important aspect of growing business, of course. Awesome. Okay. Next one, Dr. Barnos. Okay, so maybe you have a follow-up first. Go for it.
Yeah, how do you grow culture? How do you install culture?
Just show you be the leader of the embodiment. Like you embody what you breathe. You have to do what you preach. It's the same thing. So if you're saying this shouldn't be acceptable, we're not doing this. Like we're not sending that or closing that deal in that unacceptable way. Then you have to stand for that word, no matter how much is on the line. If you're saying that behavior is unacceptable, then you have to embody that behavior is unacceptable. So I would say my approach is always leadership by example. This is the simple, short version of it.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Dr. Barnabas, next question is for you. What should come first? Visibility, systems, or trust? Which one do you think should come first? And again, I think this could be open for you guys also to chime in, Dennis and Ahmed. But let's take Dr. Barnabas share first.
Give me the real open-ended one, huh? So I actually think that depends on the person, because I think we all start in a different place, right? And we start from different points as far as our journey. As I think about that question, one of the things that pops in my mind is knowledge of your space and how you fit in your space. Because without that understanding, none of the other stuff matters. I mean, you can have visibility, right? And everybody wants to talk to you, but when they reach you and they actually talk to you and realize that you know nothing about what it is they need to, what it is they need to solve, then that visibility was for naught, right? I can be a great systems person, know my systems up and down, but back to the point, if I don't know business, I don't know how to move that needle when I get in that room to have those conversations with those people. That system knowledge doesn't help me either. Trust is super important, and it's the foundation for everything. But trust is so fragile. Trust is something that it takes you a long time to build, right? And one incident can shatter that trust and do that. So I think it's a combination of all of those things as it relates to the ability and knowledge of understanding your business. Because if you understand your business and your space and how you fit in that space, then to the point that Dennis was making and to the point that Amel was making, you are prepared for the visibility, right? You have the knowledge and understanding of the systems. You've already established that trust, that brand, those things that you bring to the table. But more importantly, I think you have an understanding of what's fragile about all of those things as it relates to how you need to move in that particular industry. I think Dennis kind of brought up the point of, not only the differences of where you advertise and where you market, not only is the where you advertise and where you market based on the industry or the type of people that you're trying to attract. I think that's true from the business itself, right? I know already I'm not going to do business with everybody. So I can't be everything to everybody. And that's about knowing myself and my space and where I fit and making sure that I reach out and the things that I'm doing, all the efforts that I'm putting in place are for that specific audience and not trying to be everything for everybody.
I love it. Good wisdom here. Dennis, Ahmed, what's your take on the same question again? What should come first, visibility, systems, or trust from your point of view?
Well, Dennis must say visibility.
Well, the thing is, you can start with visibility, but if you start with visibility, as I said, in the wrong direction, then you're harming yourself. So if you are basically building visibility in one direction, but then you're building the systems in another direction, then you have all of these people who don't care about that thing, and then it doesn't really help. I mean, if you are starting somewhere in the middle, very generically, so to speak, like just growing visibility in a generic point of like in a generic way, basically, then you have some flexibility in terms of where you can go. But super generic content leads to super generic audiences, which then don't lead to achieving the results that you want because you're not getting the right people to see your post. I mean, you probably see these generic statements of like, oh yeah, to be happy you have to let go or something like that, right? So these posts, they sometimes get thousands of likes, like 7,000 likes. But these are super generic. Like, who do you get with these posts? You get everyone, and you get no one. So if you're trying to sell anything to them, you're not going to sell anything, because it's like those people, they don't care about you. They care about this statement, and that statement, it just doesn't say anything about your business, doesn't say anything about your offer. It doesn't filter people in any meaningful way, except for that these are people who like these standard statements. Like my grandmother used to have a calendar where it's like you just zip off the date, and there was always some psalm, like some statement from the Bible. I'm not sure, I don't know what these are, what the name of this is in English, but like some statement from the Bible, some verses from the Bible, yeah. And it's basically the same thing, right? People are just stating these verses, not from the Bible, but maybe some general wisdom that is generic. So yeah, I wouldn't say that visibility comes before systems, comes before anything else. But I would definitely say that once you have the systems in place and you know the direction you want to go, visibility is definitely a good next step. And especially once you know who exactly your clients are, once you know exactly what their pains are, how you can help them, because then you can create some meaningful visibility.
I love it. So I think, what you're both saying so far, Dennis and Dr. Barnabas, that, they have to go together. Like, visibility, trust, and systems need to go together. So again, curious to learn from you, Ahmed. What do you think?
Yeah, what you said is 100% right. They have to go together, but if one of them will have to go first, it's definitely trust. Like Dennis said, visibility alone doesn't mean much if there's nothing worthy of visibility. Like you can be visible for something bad, or something generic or something that doesn't matter. But I think building that trust first, trust helps in many ways. So I think the entire sales process is around building trust. You're building trust with the person, with the buying person personally, that you will deliver on what you're promising. You're building trust on the solution that you're selling. You're building trust on the support after. You're building trust that you will keep your contract. Like trust is the like in the core of the business. Microsoft used to say running on trust. The saying was in Microsoft. So I would say there's also a book called The Speed of Trust, because trust eliminates a lot of friction. Because if we trust each other, there is less verification, there's less breaking that I'll have to do just to, there's no hesitation as much. So I think the entire process is really about building trust. But I think before trust, you have to have some value. So you build value, you build trust, and from that you go with visibility and systems, I would say.
I love it. Great wisdom. So I think now we'll open up for you guys, as attendees, founders, to fire up some questions. Whatever is challenging you, and you think, the founders here, the panel, they can help you with your question or your challenge or your area of support, then that's your time to ask questions. Asif, go for it, sir.
Okay, Dr. Barnabas, you said something in one of the question. I think you were saying that your superpowers are knowing and then leaving with the value, like delivering the value, something similar to that. Question is, how do you know like your main IP exists in enterprise B2B sale, and what is the value they're looking for? It's not published, it's not in social. What is the way to find out that what they want?
So if you flip it around, value is pain, right? So what is their pain? Because if you can alleviate their pain, you create value. So and again, this is just strictly, I'm not saying anybody else believes this in any way, but the way that I see this is we think in terms a lot of times of dollars, right? And we go into conversations thinking about a sale as it relates to, okay, how much can I charge them for this? How much can I do? And all of that is premature if I don't understand how bad you're hurting and understand why you're hurting, because that drives your behavior. The pain drives your behavior. So if I'm able to find you at a point in time where the pain is super high, and I tell you, hey, if you take this pill, the pain will go away. And you say, all I got to do is take this pill and the pain to go away. I say, yeah. And you say, well, how much is that pill? Well, how high is your pain? Right? Because that's the crux of how the relationship really works. If you say my pain is not that bad, and I say, well, the pill is $10, you say, I'm not giving you $10 for the pill, right? But if I go in and you say, oh, I'm hurting really, really bad, and I say, well, this pill is actually $100, and you say, I don't care how much it costs, I need to relieve this pain. So that's where back to what Ahmad and this was saying, but that's where the trust factor comes in. Because if I may be able to sell you that pill one time and you buy it for $100 and it doesn't alleviate your pain, you're never going to buy anything else from me, right? So maybe the first time I go in, I have that pill and I know it'll alleviate your pain. Maybe I give it to you for free. No charge. Just call me if you need some help with something else down the road. So it becomes that whole model of, if I understand that this person can help me alleviate my pain, that is a person that I'm going to seek out. And it's not just this pain in this one area. Maybe I don't have the answer to another question that you have. Maybe somebody that I know does, right? So it becomes this relationship to where it's not transactional. It's more around, I'm a person that you can reach out to help you with a lot of things that you do. If I provide that particular thing, so to speak, I can provide that to you. But other than that was going with that premise of making you understand what because the pain drives the value.
Thanks.
And real quick, I'll put that in IT terms, right? So if I invested in an AI solution and my AI solution is leaking $240,000 a year, and I can show you why that's leaking $240,000 a year and how to stop that, reduce that result, right? So that's the value that you bring. Now, how much is that worth to you? How much is it worth to not lose $240,000 a year? How much is it worth not to do? So that's where the dance, if you will, comes into play.
Okay. Actually, that is taking me to my second question, but if Ahmad allows.
I think nobody raised their hand, so you can go for it.
Yeah, basically, this is the pricing question. It used to be in a AI services. My previous company was mobile services when everyone needed mobile app, iPhone app. So at that time I started, so I was able to charge premium price. Now it's AI, everybody needs AI. The problem is that AI is also writing AI. So the value of software is diminishes. So we used to have hour to like how many dollar hour I charge per engineer. Now, if I'm a sharp engineer and I'm charging you less, so it's not really fair value. So you're saying how much is your pain is the way to price the product or service. But that is where the hard part comes in. How will I know? Like you can give me a wrong answer. Like if I'm asking you, you can give me a wrong answer saying, I don't have a pain. So how will I price my services? Like in the past, it was easy. Okay, this was my cost, number of hour, number of engineers. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'll take a quick stab at it, and then I'll pass it over to the other gentleman. My intent was not to say it's how you price your services. It was an example of understanding the value of what you provide, right? And when you're able to provide that value. So an example you just gave, when it was new, you could charge a premium. Now that it's not new, you can't charge a premium for that particular service. So the question becomes, back to the whole genesis of the conversation, is what you offer of value to the market or just something you like to do? That's a big distinction, right? Because one of those is a business and the other one is a hobby. I have that up on my wall, right? One is a business and the other is a hobby. So that's the part that you got to figure out is what I'm offering valuable to the market, and which market is it valuable to? To Dennis's point, that's how you start to do that marketing strategy, understanding who is my core client, my core clientele, and the people that I'm really trying to attract with what I have to provide.
I love it. I love it. Great wisdom. And I think, again, as of this question is definitely, a tough one. And again, most of us as founders have that problem of how to price our value correctly, or how to price our services in the right way. I'll tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I was in the gym, in the spa with some kids. They're all like, I want to say 20s, 25 years old, and they were all speaking about being rich quickly. Like this was the main topic of the spa at that time. And some of them were saying it's all about education. Some of them were saying just go Amazon, go and buy and products and sell on Amazon. There is one guy, nice coach, that he has this course, and you can just go enroll with that course. What I'm trying to say here, that it's how you frame your solution. Again, definitely, the right solution, legal one, ethical one, and you're not trying to cheat, you're not trying to do unethical things here. But again, framing it takes time, and positioning your value. And I'm sure, Dennis and Ahmed has multiple stories about how they can share their insights about, framing their value of service. How much do you charge? Dennis, let's start with you, then I'll go to Ahmed. Or if you're not ready, maybe Ahmed can take a step.
I had
Yeah,
a couple
feel
of
free.
ideas, yeah. And I had one, the idea that no one wants to buy anymore, or there's no pain, just tells me there's no. So my approach to sales, I'm not trying to sell anything. When I go into the room, you're looking for a fit. So you have value, you are offering something unique, hopefully, because you must know before you do anything, you must have a USP, a unique selling proposition. Why do you what do you bring to the market that nobody else is doing? Or maybe it's the same thing, but you're doing it differently. Maybe there's so much demand, so you're one of the options, which is not a good place to be, but you should have a USP. You should have a unique selling proposition, something that differentiates you. And then when you're going into the meeting room with that customer, you're looking for a fit. That person, like Dennis said, or doctor said, has a pain. And you want to alleviate that pain. Does what you have alleviate that pain? This is the fit that you're trying to find. And where Dennis comes in is the visibility, which is making everyone see that you have a USP. So this is how it works. So first you have to build something that's relevant. And like you said, back in the day, it was a mobile application. Now everyone has a mobile application. It's not a cool thing anymore. And now the cool thing is an AI app. And basically everyone wants an AI app, but AI writes AI. So where's the value? Well, nobody cares about how you wrote it. You maybe look at it because you look at the effort from an engineer point of view. But the person buying it is not really buying your effort. He's buying, again, like doctor said, the pain that's being alleviated for you. And again, going back to the pricing, a bottle of water, you would buy it from Costco for $50, but you'll pay the same bottle of water, like $10 if you're on an airplane, and you'll pay $1,000 if you're in the middle of the desert dying. So, so the pricing completely depends. So if you really are able to find these people stranded in the desert, you'll be really rich. But this is where Dennis comes in. So, So, but if you are standing in front of Costco, trying to sell water, that's not going to work very well. So at least you should, maybe it's flavored water, maybe it's water with vitamin, maybe, I don't know, it's cola water, it's sugar water. So you need to have a USP, and add that USP is the value add. You take something which is basic development, create mobile apps, and you add something to it. And this is value creation. This is what you want to do, and this is where you want to go. Then you take it and have visibility into it, and then you look for the market fit. And again, like was mentioned before, you have to be very specific about the customer you're selling to. Who exactly are you targeting? And then from there, because these are the people with the pain. And they will go to great lengths to, even if the product is not complete and has bugs, and we're all using Windows, so so they will continue to use it because it works for them. So I think these are my 2 points. I'll pass to Dennis.
Yeah, I have something to add here, and it comes back to something that was mentioned earlier, and that is trust. So it's not just trust in the solution, it's trust in you, and also trust in the purchaser themselves. So, for example, when you have objections, you can basically ask people when they say, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to buy it. So then you can ask, okay, so what's the, like, why do you not want to buy it? Is it because you don't believe that I can help you? Do you not believe that my solution can help you achieve whatever I say that the solution does achieve? Or is it that you don't believe that you yourself can actually make that result a reality or get value out of that result? So the trust in you, your solution, and the person themselves, the purchaser themselves, I think is a really important component of the pricing. Because if you have a really great product, but people don't trust you that the product is actually going to deliver, then the price, even if it's low, people will not buy it. If there's a super high probability in their minds that this will work out, then they're likely going to pay more for it. So that's definitely something that plays a big role, which is why, for example, if you have a bunch of testimonials and use cases, customer use cases or case studies, I mean, of specifically the same type of business, selling will be drastically easier. And the pricing, well, asking for higher prices will also be drastically easier. So that's what I have to add to the pricing topic.
I love it. It's definitely, an interesting topic, and I've heard a lot about, that sometimes if you put your prices up, this will bring customers to you more than when you go down. And I was shockingly thinking, this was wrong, but eventually it worked for me at least. Carolina, please go ahead. And you're mute.
Yeah, no, I've also heard a lot about the discussions, and I think the one thing we do need to think about also is that the pricing needs to also fit the target group and the business model that we're also offering, correct? Because there are actually just some of the businesses so that are actually will have difficulty to afford something, at that price. So it's very difficult to say that, for example, a corporate business with X billion of revenues and, large employee base has the same budget as a business that has, for example, 10 employees and, it's a small business. So I think what also technology creates now as an opportunity is to actually innovate the business model. So that's something that was in the past only possible to the large businesses is possible to small businesses, but that does require also, a different pricing or a different, let's say, service model. And this is where, if it's subscription models or other models can also work. So I think for me, this in the pricing discussion, the customer that we're serving is an important also element into it.
Sure.
So that's a beautiful point, Caroline. And I would frame that more as a level of effort discussion, right? So the level of effort to implement something for a company that's 10 employees is very, very different than the level of effort to implement something for a company with 1,000 employees. So you're absolutely correct from the assessment of saying those pricing models would be different, just because the level of effort is different, right? So and the reason I'm clarifying that is because I think it's important that we understand why the pricing is different, not just because this business is smaller, I'm going to charge them less than I'm going to charge this person. Because if that pricing model gets out, right, that's going to be problematic. So it has to be a pricing model based on the fact of, okay, this is going to take me this amount of effort, this amount of time to do this particular piece of work. But although it may be the same exact thing, right? But doing that on a scale of 100 times, that pricing model has to change to compensate for that because your time changed.
I love
That's
it.
a
I
great
mean,
point.
Yeah.
great question, and I see some folks may need to drop, so I want to do the group selfie before they drop off, and then we can continue to run our questions. If you're all good, you want to join the camera, I'll just put the together mood here that we all show up and we take the selfie, and then we continue our discussions after that. So whenever you're ready, guys, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so when you're ready, 1, 2, 3, and smile. Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the selfie and definitely the call. I'll return back to the view mode here and we can continue with our question. So I think, again, the price question was definitely relevant to most of us. Anyone else want to ask a question or share, a challenge that you have? And to be honest, I want to bring Ahmed Quraim. Ahmed, are you there? If you're there, I know that you've been sitting in many VCs as an advisor for startups. So you might want to come here and share a few wisdom about the price tag specifically, if you're okay.
I am, but I didn't hear the specific question, so I'm sorry. I was just in another we had an investor demo that I that I needed to attend to. This is why I don't think going back.
No worries. No. So again, the question is about pricing. I know you've been, speaking with founders who have, delivered millions of dollars products worth. What was the discussion about prices that you think most founders need to look at? Like how do they set their prices or their, structure for that offer?
Okay, yeah, I got this one. So fundamentally, and not to be oversimplistic, it's just one of two things. Either they are servicing a mass market, at which point they can definitely have a more affordable pricing because they are serving the masses, or they are for servicing a niche market where they to price in a premium way. It makes sense for this kind of service or product they offering. However, in either one of these two cases, they can only have a price point that is relatively higher than their costs and not be burning so much cash if they actually have a moat or if they've acquired enough of the customers. So I'm thinking of an example from roughly 10 years ago when Kareem was trying to fight with Uber in the Middle East for the ride-hailing services, and then both of them were trying to drop their prices further and further, like issue coupons and whatnot, to make sure that people are using their service. And then when the Uber Kareem acquisition happened, the prices are now way so high because they've effectively dominated the market. So even when newer competitors come in, it's harder for them to compete because Uber and essentially Kareem at this point have built enough defensibility around their model that the newer entrants who are coming into the market, even when they drop their prices, they're not able to compete because of the operational cost and whatnot. So we only advise founders to play around with the pricing once they've made sure that they have captured growth and acquisition phase, rather than focusing on immediate profitability or we need to put a price that makes sense for just now. It's rather let's put a price that makes sense for now, tomorrow, and next year.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Great wisdom. Asif, I see you have your hand raised. Go for it. You're mute. You're mute.
Sorry, this one is for me and maybe for some others. So I used to have companies, product and services, and I went into job and now started 3 months back. I'm calling it a reboot, but it is me saying it, but it's a new company. How would you gain trust that, like if I come to you, doctor or Dennis or Ahmed, why would you trust me and say, okay, here you go, $100,000 can I offer that is different from a number? Part of the question is a lot of people from offshore everyone is started saying that I do AI. How can you tell that I am the real one?
Good question. Ahmed, do you want to start here and then we'll pass it on to Dennis and Dr. Barnabas?
Sure, sure. Well, as we said before, you have to demonstrate the value. So first, yeah, like exactly like you said it yourself, but everyone else is saying they can do it. So how will I know, or how will I build trust that you can really do it? And this is a real concern for any buyer trying to find a solution. Like you go in the market, there's a gazillion person that says they can do the job. So I think this is a very good like pivot or a an entry for exactly what Dennis is doing, because this is basically a visibility issue. So again, it goes back to the USP. If you do have a USP, which is again what you mentioned before, you need to have an actual value. There is something that you really differentiate on. And if there is nothing that you differentiate on, I don't think there's a something here. Like you really have to find the USP, and there's usually something that you can find. Maybe you target a very small niche, maybe you specialize in something specific, maybe you deliver your service in a certain way. Fighting over price is not usually a really good idea, but you can do that as well. But once you find that USP, and once you define that USP, you then define your customer, the persona that will be interested in that USP, the person, like the doctor said, who has the pain. And then you will go and you publicize yourself, and this is what I do, and here you go, this is the demo, this is our successful customer. You try to, I have worked with Microsoft partners who will do a $0 contract with a customer. They will tell them they are new, so they will say, you know what, we are going to make your pain go away, and because we are new, you don't trust us, and we know that, fully understand, completely normal. You sign a $0 contract or $1 contract with us, and if we just take a cut from the money, it's going to save you compared to what you're doing now. But again, that requires that they are really confident in what they do, and they know that they have a USP that they can deliver and a value that they can deliver. So everything starts from the value that you have, and then you can go from there. You can create content and build trust in it. You can position yourself as a thought leader in the market, and build a hype around it or a following around it, and then go from there. That would be my 2 cents.
Thanks, Ahmed.
You're on mute. Maybe Dennis can pitch if you have any.
Yeah.
Anything needs to do.
So
to say.
I definitely see that this is the basis of everything. So basically, what you said about USP, I think USP can be that you are an absolute expert for a very niche market, for a very specific type of business. Okay, so I don't know, maybe it's only let's just say, to keep it simple, because this is an example people love to use. Let's say a very specific type of dentist. Okay, so only a dentist that does X thing, and you are becoming the absolute expert in understanding what the problems of these particular dentists are. So you're not going after every dentist, you're only going after those very niche dentists. Okay, and then you are an absolute pro in understanding the problems. You talk to them and you give them a lot of confidence, because in the end it's about trust and confidence, right? If they don't have trust/confidence in you, achieving the results that they want, then they're not going to pay for it. right? So that would be, it's easier to go after those people because they are looking for solutions, or maybe they weren't even looking for solutions, but they are more likely to get it from somebody who understands their business model, understands their approach, their day-to-day, because only if you understand all of these things, then you can automate properly, or you can build a solution that really delivers value. And once you have done that, once you have delivered value to that one client, even if, like what Ahmed said earlier, or Ahmad, is definitely a good idea to potentially do it for free if you can, if you're not going to run into cash flow problems. That's always an issue. But you need to start somewhere and have some proof of concept or some trust that you can build from it. So it can also build a POC for them, just saying, hey, look, this is a POC that we built, or this is a prototype that we built, just to increase the trust in you actually delivering the result. Maybe you can build something that looks great. It's not the full thing, but looks good enough so that they can they believe that you can actually deliver the result. And then once they are fine and you get the contract, even if you do it for a lower price, you have your first case study, and then you can go to others with that case study. And you can also specifically ask that dentist, because dentists with that who are specialists in that particular field, they know other dentists who are specialists in those fields, because they go to events, they talk to other people and so forth. And if your service actually was transformative, then they will talk about it. And you can specifically also prompt them to talk about you. You can say, hey, do you know any other person who this could be relevant to? And then you start delivering value to them. And that one case study allows you to create content. You can talk about it. You are an expert in that particular type of dentist field, and you can talk about that particular dentist type of field. And then once you have a few clients, then you can go broader. You can either stay in this field, like just become the guy for that particular field, or you can also become the guy for dentists in general, become the AI automator or AI solutions architect for dentists, or you just build a SaaS solution that just goes for everybody, or I don't know, like there are plenty of ways this can go, but it always starts with a very good understanding of your client, of your potential client, and building trust to make your first dollars, to then increase trust.
Yeah.
And then you can create content that generates more trust and gives you more people.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there. You can get broader. You can increase your solution, can build it out, make it better. But yeah, the beginning is always the hardest, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll add another real life story here, something that I did myself. There is a big government entity that did, because the company I was working with, the partner, was very small. We actually did the work for them for free, completely for free, no expectation of anything back, because we wanted to alleviate the pain and build a trust and build a relationship. So because we know that the pipeline of work coming from that customer will cover the expenses that we or the investment that we have put into the customer initially. But again, like Dennis said, that requires that you really have a long breath, that you know what you're doing financially. You're playing for the long run here. It's not just you want to go do a project and say goodbye and take your money and leave. You're building a real relationship with a customer that will last for a long time, and that depends on the kind of customer that you're dealing with. Is it an enterprise with a long life, with a long sales cycle? Is it the government with an even longer sales cycle, or is it a SMB with a short sales cycle, small profit, not very high big deals to get? So that was one. There was something else on my mind I want to share as well. Another example of demonstrating value, just to demonstrate value. The customer was one of them. The other one is just escaped my mind, but it is normal. Oh, sorry. Going back to the idea of the T or the pie shape, knowledge being specialization in a couple of things. So one of the things I do, as I said, is automation, which is basically the foundation of what we do for infrastructure, which is how we now build complete on-prem clouds. But there was a very specific pain for a very big customer here in BC, and I sent one email. And this is the biggest company in their field in the entire province, and I sent one email, one liner, and I had a reply within half a day because it's extremely specific to what they do. But it was very targeted. Like I know exactly what this problem is. I know exactly the person that will have a problem by name. Of course, using Salesforce and doing your research and market research and understanding what they are using, and then you can target it. So there's a lot of research that that has to come first. There is this book called the E-Myth Revisited that talks about entrepreneurs. Really good book. There's 2 editions of it, and he was talking about the something called the entrepreneurial seizure. Entrepreneurial seizure is when an engineer or an employee who's delivering value just feels he can just become a business owner. There is a lot that goes into business other than just doing the work. It's actually most of the work is not just the actual engineering. So if you want to be a business owner or you want to be a founder, you have to be ready to redefine yourself. I am not just the developer, but I am the sales person, I am the financial person, I am the person who will go and hunt for these and do the actual research to understand how the business look like the doctor said. His leverage is understanding business. You have to understand why anyone will buy from you. It's because the business will either want to increase revenue, reduce cost, or mitigate risk. So what you're doing must fit in one of these 3 boxes for that specific business. And then from there, you go talk to them. Like, I'm going to increase your revenue. I'm going to cut your cost. I'm going to mitigate your risk. And then you'll listen to you. That's my point. I'm not sure if that helps.
Amazing, amazing. And what I love about those discussions, that we all now, I'm sure, started to think about, our own problems, our own, challenges, and, reflect on everybody's experience and story here. So again, I love those discussions, and I want to keep going. If there's more questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, I want to be respectful of your time. I know everybody here is running, work, and this is precious time. So if there is no more questions, I'll give you back, those remaining 7 minutes, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks. I hope you come back and share your wisdom and bring friends, whoever needs this kind of forum. We're not trying to make this a big stage, but we're trying again to make it a small room with brilliant minds who really want to share knowledge around. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk again soon. Stay positive, stay proud, and stay blessed. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.